Just got a tip, there's no debate. I know a gent that'll set you straight. It's Vinny Valentine. Good fellow who's got what it takes. A New Yorker to make no mistake. It's Vinny Valentine. And if you're feeling real blue, call on Vinny. He's gonna tell you who's better than you. Elizabeth Street, Little Italy. Hangs with his pals, yeah, that's where he'll be. It's Vinny, a friend of mine. Stand-up guy from the Lower East Side. Take it from me, he's one of a kind. It's Vinny Valentine.
Who's better than you? Welcome to Tell It Like It Is. You know, it's so nice to be here. You know, at one point I was saying, you know, I might throw in the towel because I've been doing this for about 12 years or more. And every time I think about throwing the towel in, I back out because I like being here. You know, I like meeting these people. I like dealing with the audience. I like dealing with, you know, people that see me in the street and say, hey, I love your show. But anyway, I appreciate all that. You know, that pat on the shoulder means a lot to me. Because when I was a kid, I never got that pat on the shoulder. I used to get smacked in the head, you know.
You didn't get a pat, you got a smack.
Yeah, you got a pat, I got a smash. But anyway, I just want to mention that my son, his wife, last night gave birth against all my grandfather again.
Oh, man, congratulations,
to a little 7-pound little boy named Levi. You want to know something? You know, my wife from a previous marriage had three kids. Yeah, wait.
I wouldn't know that.
Wait, I'm trying to think. How many? I think it was...
Well, if you count the one that we had, 4.
Two, and then I was married before. Do you know how many grandchildren I got?
I have no idea.
I counted them last night, it was 12.
Wow. Wow, that's a big family.
When it comes Christmas next year, just before Christmas, I'm going to take off. I'm going to go to Thailand.
Come visit me.
And say, oh, God.
Come visit
oh,
me
man, I didn't realize it was Christmas.
Come visit me in California.
Yeah, I just might. I just might.
You can hide out. We got a little hideout there.
Anyway,
I wanted to say to you, and it's very interesting because I've been with you when you're walking through Little Italy, which in fact was part of the inspiration of Saving Little Italy, the movie that we worked on. We got about 18 minutes of it. You know, they made it like a short, but it should have been, you know, it really should be a feature. It's a great little film and a concept. But people treat you like the mayor of Little Italy. You know, when you walk down the street, everybody, hey, Vinny, you know, hey, Vinny. I mean, it's like, you know, it's like sitting with, you know, it's crazy. You can't get from one block to the other without 15 people.
Yeah, it takes me, I'll forget it, for me to go from Canal Street to Broome Street or to Kenmare, it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
We have a little clip of the Saving Little Italy. Would you like to take a peek? Would you like to take a peek at that?
Yeah, sure.
If that's okay with Richard, and we'd love to show that to you. See my thing? I think this might be the Saving Little Italy clip, and if not, we'll just jump into whatever clip it is.
One of the best
clip that YouTube is stuck. Hang on a second.
Okay.
Next time, just bring the clips.
Okay.
This always happens with YouTube.
Okay. I will have it better prepared. It was just that I flew out so quickly. Oh, here it is, yeah.
Of Little Italy? Yes, sir. Let me get Vinny on the phone for you.
Can I talk to you a second?
Hello, who's this? You came all the way over here to tell me to go back? You're already in New York.
What are you doing out here? You're playing around. We need you. We're losing Little Italy. And what are you doing? You're the improv mayor of Little Italy. You're supposed to be back there helping us out.
All right. You know what? I come back in 10 days. How's that?
Wait, Vinny.
Talk to him.
I gotta talk to you, Vinny. He's supposed to be going back to New York.
I'm going to go back to New York.
Get out. Come on, Vinny.
You were so so great out, and it was so much fun having you out there. And people still talk about that trip. The girls still talk about that trip. It was so funny. I mean, we couldn't get you back to New York after that. You came to that one set. You were like, I'm not leaving here. Are those women outrageous?
Oh, yeah, they were all beautiful.
They were very beautiful. They were all, I didn't realize the person who cast them, but you were really, you were really
we were
funny.
Up in the mountains somewhere.
Yeah, you were up in the Hollywood Hills, basically, and you were, you just fit right in like a glove.
Yeah, I
It didn't take you a lot didn't twist your arm to get over there.
I had a ball up there.
It's really funny because you go from these independent little movies to these gigantic movies with De Niro and Pacino, but, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do that film. That was a lot of fun.
I enjoyed these independent films sometimes as much as I enjoyed doing the big films. And a lot of times when people say, what was the best movie you ever did? And when I look at the check, I say, this one right here. This was the best one I ever did. And
what is it like? What is it like for you? I mean, I'm curious because I'm trying to follow in your footsteps. Maybe I'll get to work with Pacino and De Niro on the same movie. I never worked with those guys. I mean, I was in Godfather 3, but standing there, but that was really what bit me in the butt when I got the acting bug to continue this career. But what is it like for you when you're working with them? I mean, you said in the beginning you were nervous, so like you just did a movie, The Irishman.
The Irishman.
And so I mean, here you are with the heavyweights. I mean, they're older now.
Yeah.
And you guys knew each other, but what is it like? Did you do your lines, or did you ad lib?
Yeah, I had my lines. All my lines were with De Niro.
Jesus. And were you nervous, or you just felt like it was very comfortable working with him?
I just felt very comfortable with him,
Because people who've worked, like Ben Stiller worked with him, and they say he's odd. He kind of, how is that working with a guy like that? I mean.
Well, I'll tell you, when I have to work with any of these big stars, to me, they're just people that were friends of mine, even though they're on TV, and I never met them before, but De Niro I had. Like when I see them and I have to work with them, it's like, oh, I'm finally getting to see you. I'm finally getting to work with you. I don't look at them as like big stars and I should get nervous and I'm all jittery. No, that never happens to me. I expect them to be nervous. Like when people say to me, did you ever take pictures with these people? I say, no, they took pictures with me. They took pictures with me.
You got an attitude there. You got to have that attitude.
If you say, oh, I'm not the type to go up to somebody and say, okay, I take a picture with this. Because I've got pictures with so many actors and actresses.
Right.
And I've never asked any one of them, could I take a picture with you? They all get to talk to me. And then they're assuming, and they feel like I'm going to come out and ask them for a picture. They said, hey, would you like to take a picture? Can we take a picture together? They always ask me. I mean, I remember one time, what's her name? The one that, damn, I can't think of her name. And I came down to my bathrobe, and I wound up taking a picture with her in the restaurant.
Was she a star, a big star?
Yeah, it's a girl, the blonde. I forgot her name.
Well, you were with Jennifer McCarthy in that movie that we did. You were Jennifer McCarthy, and you guys just sort of gelled pretty good.
Yeah. I forgot the one that used to go out with. Damn, I forgot the name. But anyway, my son said to me, he says, "Hey, Dad," he said, "Cafe Habana is on the corner of where I live." And he says, could you do me a favor? Could you get me something to go in? I said, no, I got it in my bathrobe. He says, come on, everybody knows you're around here. So I walked down the block, and I walked into Cafe Havana, and she was there with the other two girls, like Charlie's Angels or something. Named
Cameron Diaz?
Cameron Diaz.
Now, what is this, like name that?
There you go.
Do I win a prize?
So I walked in, and I walked in from the door over here.
Wow.
Cameron Diaz was over here, and the other two girls over here, and she did this one night. And she looked at me walking out my bathrobe.
Would you think you were Hugh Hefner or something?
No. So I looked at her and I said, Cameron Diaz. I said, I'm finally getting to meet you. You want to have breakfast with me? She says, I'm having breakfast with them. I says, okay, so I won't bite it. So then somebody says, hey, can I take a picture of you too? not realizing that this was a photographer from the Post.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So I said, that's up to Ken. That's up to Ken. So she said, sure. So we took a picture. Next thing I know is in the morning, I'm in the bathroom.
Oh, that's funny. Because
And,
you had a bathrobe on.
Yeah, I was combing my hair or something. And it says, now we got to show an unusual clip of Cameron Diaz and Vinny Villa that walks into a restaurant with his bathrobe on. And I said, oh, shit. And then lifting up the paper and showing me in the Post with her. I ran out and got a bunch of copies.
Oh, that's hilarious. It's funny. It's funny when I was at the People's Choice Awards, and that's hilarious. But I was the same kind of thing. I was married at the time. I was at the People's Choice Award in the news. We were covering a news story, right? And I met this blonde girl, and I was in there making out with her, and you could actually see it on the news. And I didn't realize it. And my brother's a doctor in California. Someone who worked for him saying, Richard, what were you doing kissing that woman? I'm like, oh my God, you don't know the cameras are rolling in it. But that was kind of funny. It's one of those moments where you get caught and stuff.
Yeah.
But I was gonna ask you now. So you mentioned the independent films, and we do have a clip. It's funny because we went from that wonderful little comedy.
Which one is this? The Nightbird?
This is the Nightbird one.
Oh boy.
And this is. And you said we did a couple of movies together, so I was able. And thank God, Richard back there. He's phenomenal at his technology.
I like the independent films because sometimes you could improvise, and they sometimes people prefer when you improvise.
I remember very well when we tried to get you in that film and you came down. It was like a clandestine meeting. You were in the van and we were talking about paying. I felt like I got to go in there, Damien, and meet him. He's like Don Corleone, talking with you about oh my God, I remember that. We worked it out, and you were very nice to
Nightbird was great. We're going to see.
So we're going to go to a clip of that. This is Tom Sizemore. This is the movie I was in Los Angeles.
If only he could laugh.
Tom Sizemore. This is a different.
Nice seeing you. So what are your big plans for your retirement now?
Oh, I'm gonna run for president. I'm with Hillary Clinton.
Well, that's great.
Some peace and quiet. Take it easy.
Yeah.
Maybe ask questions in all seriousness. What are you doing with this guy?
Well,
He's you got a partner.
well, I couldn't get your attention, darling, so gotta take what I can get.
Ah, jeez, come on. Hey, why don't we just leave the new sergeant alone, huh? You know my wife? You guys hear my wife? She makes a hell of a meatloaf. It's unbelievable.
No,
she
no,
wraps it
tell
with
me.
this bacon. No, it's unbelievable.
Just wait a minute, Jack.
Now you fucking wait a minute. You come in here with a fucking Godfather wannabe bullshit. My family's from fucking West Side. You understand that? My pops and my grandpa blasted for your fucking pops and grandpa. Trying to intimidate a guy like me from the West Side, a fucking Irishman. Something wrong with you?
I don't care what your golden boy was like before, but right now he's on drugs or something.
I'll take full responsibility for him. He is a thoroughbred, sir.
Is Bobby gonna be okay? Where's Bobby? Is Bobby gonna be okay?
Another happy customer. Do you have the Black Mama room ready?
Do you think I'm fucking stupid?
Yes, and a slut.
But the guy has been over 50 fucking cares somewhere near the... Let me work it out. We need to...
Do something. He's hurting her. Look at her.
Oh! Man.
Oh, you look like security. Do you know a casino in the area afterwards, the Playhouse?
Yeah, there's plenty of them. The fuck out of you, fucking redhead.
Because if you get any wild night. Yeah, and so those are a couple of the clips from The Nightbird, which did very well, I understand. I don't know where, the thing is, you never know with the independent films where they're going to go, but you were great in that. You were really great. You just jumped in, they said, what's your lines? We said, Vinny, you don't have any lines, you just do Vinny.
Yeah,
and you don't have any problem with
walking through Little Italy too, right?
Yeah, we did. That's right. I think we were just going to show the one clip of you in California, but that was a very fun. Yeah, we had that. Where you walking through Little Italy, so it's actually very. So how was it going from a big to a little film? Is it a hard adjustment?
Oh, they're
for you?
pretty nice.
I mean, you just do the same thing. Or?
I liked it because when I go from a big film to a little film, they seem to appreciate me more. No, hey, we got Vinny Villa.
Right,
right. But I don't look at it as like I'm a big shot. I look at it as, hey, if I'm able to be in this film and this is helping them out, and maybe this film could go somewhere,
What I mean, at this point, you've done quite a body of work.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, you've been. How long? When did you start? How long have you been at this?
Oh God, since 1970.
Wow.
I've done about 62 films.
Is that right? What do you want to do now? What would you like?
I don't know. I got people that offer me, they want me to direct a film for them.
Would you want to direct?
I don't know.
That's really not your thing, though. You really like the acting.
I like being in the film.
Yeah.
I like being in the film. I wouldn't mind directing it, but I've had offers to direct small independent films, but I've turned them down. I've done everything. I've done radio, I've done television, I've done commercials.
And you do comedy.
movies.
And the thing is, here's the thing now. I mean, I'm doing some projects coming up as well, but film-wise. But you were doing stand-up comedy, and now it's kind of something that I'm transitioning and doing.
I've done comedy.
Right. I saw your show. Where was that? Yeah, it was great.
Duplex.
Oh yeah, you talk. Yeah, it's a very inspirational thing because it's kind of along the lines of the show. I would love for you to come on the show if I get a little bit of a thing.
Yeah, well, I
would you come on
like doing the comedy.
Are you going to do comedy again? I mean, which is really funny.
know.
You're out there whacking people in the movies, and then you're making them laugh in the nightclubs. So.
Yeah. Well, I didn't mind because, I got, most people, comics, they go up there and they tell jokes.
Right.
I don't tell jokes. I tell real stories. But I do have a few jokes that, while I'm telling a real story, I'll throw one little joke in, like my doctor told me, because I've been pretty sick for a while, but I'm getting back on my feet. And he said, Vinny, I got bad news for you. You're going to live. And my wife said, oh, shit.
I remember we were talking earlier, and I said, that's that joke about the doc says, you got 6 months to live. And he goes, well, I can't afford to pay you. He goes, I'll give you another 6 months. That kind of a humor.
Yeah.
But, and that's the thing. I don't know if my style was to kind of break into Hollywood by just showing up at these events. And I don't know if you knew this, but back in 1981, I snuck on the Letterman show when the show was taping. Hank Stram and Mary Kay from Mary Kay's Cosmetics was on the show. And I had been there all night, and I thought, I got to go to Hollywood. I'm in New York. I got to make it, And I was back there. And you might remember this guy, black guy, Biff, that used to work for him. And back then, he seemed a lot bigger and a lot scarier. But he, at that point, the show had started. Letterman had already gone to the set. And it's kind of like your stories, big names, huge names in the world of show business. And Letterman already started the show. And he said, I'll never forget, he said, let's go to the phones. And so when he said that, he kind of looked over there, and Biff had kind of walked me back onto the set, and I turned around, and everybody started clapping and applauding, and I was right there in front of all the audience, and I looked at Letterman, Letterman looked at me, and then I walked over and I sat next to him, and I said, David, I want to talk to you. And he went, freaked out. And these are part of the stories I'm going to be talking about in the comedy thing, which is pretty crazy, and then the security came and promptly ousted me right out of the chair.
Oh, man.
I'm waiting. I was going to say I really appreciate being invited onto this show because I'm not used to actually sitting here without security or police taking me off. No, but actually they took me out, and I went to the bar and I watched the show, and he restarted the show. And Hank Strand came out. He goes, where's that guy? And they all made a bunch of jokes, and for weeks they had a lot of fun with this guy named Richard coming on the show. And so the real coup de grace was a friend of mine who said, didn't you tell me that you snuck on the Letterman show? And I said, yes, I did. He said, there's an article on David Letterman. And I read the article, and right there in the article it says, the only time the show was ever stopped during taping was when a strange man in a suit walked across the set, sat next to Letterman, and said, David, I want to talk to you. The man was removed, never to be heard from again. And that is why I want to be heard from again. Speaking of which, I brought a clip from, it's actually one of Tom Schneider. Remember, Tom Schneider used to have the Late Late Show.
Yeah.
And David Letterman produced his show. Worldwide Pants produced the show. So my thing about never to be heard from again, I went on that show, and I don't know if Rich could punch that one up, but that's where I actually showed up on the late night. This is right here.
This is Lori Dunsworth, my friend.
Nice to see
Runs
you.
a nice quad over here called Lola's on Fairfax. I asked you to
I've
come
heard
over.
about this.
Make some colortinis for us.
Thank you, sir.
Tommy, you're a pro.
Thank you, sir.
You are a pro broadcaster,
Thank
man.
you, sir.
It's going to miss you, the media.
Oh.
Here's to my friend Tommy Snyder, everybody. Let's give him a hand.
Do we have any security in the house tonight? Jeez.
Who is that guy?
I have no idea, but he was in my office right before I come down here. He says, I hear you're quitting. Would you like to do cameos?
Well, he's got to get ahead, too.
In any event, I'm down.
And that was, and these are the clips that I was going to show and talk about and do like a college tour, you know. But it's funny, okay? I wanted to get that make us crazy. Maybe I'm nuts because, you know, Letterman never to be heard from again, and that was my way of saying, yeah, you heard from me again. I'm not out of the picture. And maybe I shouldn't have gone about it that way of just crashing people's shows. But actually, after a number of them, they've you know, Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert Downey Jr. and there's
I
only
like
showed you
doing
a few.
like a variety thing, like we were talking about before.
Right.
I mean, I don't like just doing movies. I like going for movies, commercials, comedy.
And it's an inspiration for me to see you do that. I saw your show. You got a great show. I really wish you would do it again. It's very funny. You got a really funny show.
Might, you know.
You might get back up there and do it again.
Recently I've heard a few jokes, and I'm not into jokes, because when you tell a joke, if it's a long joke, you throw everybody off. You know, if it's a short joke, you know, you can keep their attention. And like there's this one joke, my doctor said, if you wake up in the morning and you don't have pain, that means you're dead. You know, that's one.
You know, and you're absolutely right. It's the stories that are kind of interesting, and that's why I got the inspiration from you and your stories, watching your show, watching you know, Steve Martin and Martin Short do their thing on Netflix recently. And I don't know if, you know, again, they're pretty extraordinary situations. It's not that anything about me, but, you know, I talked to Ronald Reagan on the phone. Now, you might say, you know, you saw me crash Letterman. Well, you saw me crash, you know, Tom Schneider and the Golden Globes and all those kind of projects and everything. They're going to be really tight next time I go over there, by the way, now that they've seen on your show. But I was working as a DJ, and this is kind of interesting. You say, well, how did you talk to Ronald Reagan on the phone? People would say, that's ridiculous. I don't believe you. You're a liar. But, you know, when you explain the situation, it's kind of funny. And then I had that situation where I think we have a clip of me at the White House with Ronald Reagan. It's hard to see me, but I'm actually at the White House. It's right here.
Oh, it's right here. You can't reward them all. But thank you. All right. Thank you over it.
Don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty.
We'd have to do some editing, but okay. Now that was an insane situation because I actually had press credentials, and I'm over here to the right. You can't see me, but what's happened there in that particular this is very historical. This is President Reagan. Now you say, well, how did I get in there? I had credentials. You know, I had to go through a clearance. I said I was from an Italian newspaper, and I got some clearance, and I actually was able to go to the White House. And so on that particular day, that was in 1981, I believe, when Ronald Reagan called an impromptu press conference. Michael Jackson had come to. These are great. See, these are the stories, you know, where Michael Jackson had come to the White House to do this thing about MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. And right after that, I didn't see Michael Jackson, but right after that, Reagan called a press conference, and he was in there. And so what you'll see if you actually watch that a little closer is I'm sitting next to Sam Donaldson. I don't know if you remember, there was a lady named Helen that used to sit there. She wasn't there because it was an impromptu press conference. So I was sitting in her seat right up front in front of Reagan. And when Reagan got up to leave, I said, "Oh, beat it." I said that. I said, "Oh, beat it." Now, "Beat It" was the #1 song in it was actually 1983 with Michael Jackson. And he looked at me and he said, "What did he say?" And Casper Weinberger, I only remember these names, whispered something in his ear that was Michael Jackson's #1 song. And then he kind of turned around and laughed. And then Sam Donaldson said, "Yeah, beat it, Reagan, beat it." Now, you heard him because he got a microphone. And then I turned to Sam Donaldson and said, "You had to steal my line." So it's kind of ridiculous stories because I'm way over here at the top. I'm a nobody at the time, dealing with Sam Donaldson, Ronald Reagan, you know, Donald Trump's, you know, and you know, it's not a political thing. It's just, you know, they're famous people, whether you like them or not. And,
you know, there's a famous restaurant in my neighborhood called Emilio's. It's on Houser Street between Mott and Mulberry and J-Lo. You know J-Lo? Jennifer Lopez?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
She calls up and she makes reservations for the restaurant. So the Emilio, the guy that owns the restaurant, is a friend of mine. I talk to him every day. She calls up and she says, "I'd like to make reservations." He says, "We don't take reservations. First come, first serve." Wait, this is what he said. He didn't know who she was. She says,
Oh my God.
"We're guaranteed to spend $40,000. He said, "What time you coming in?"
$40,000. What is she getting?
And the bill was something like
gold-plated spaghetti.
Not even $30,000. And she gave the $40,000. The rest is a tip for the waiters.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God, they had that kind of money. That's ridiculous.
$40,000. Wow.
Oh my God.
Guaranteed to spend $40,000. He said, "What time you coming in?"
Emilio had a change of heart. I just wanted to finish that story because we were talking about the how I talked to Reagan. So, so what happened was that was years later. I was a DJ. I was actually I worked for Washington Talent Agency. I used to do mobile DJs. So I was actually hired to do the Reagan alumni when Reagan had got out of office. So he had gone to Santa Barbara, and the whole idea was that he was going to call it. When you say I talked to Reagan on the phone, it's kind of a funny thing, and then you go, well, explain to me how that happened. And so I was actually hired to be the DJ at that event, right? So at the time that he was supposed to call in, I set my equipment up, I was ready to go, and so he's calling at a certain time, and then they're going to put his phone on the PA system. Well, Ed Meese was there hosting it, and he was having a hard time with the thing, and he couldn't get it working. So he called in, Reagan called in, and Ed Meese and I was already entertainment, so I was in the front, and he's like freaking out, going, "It's not working, it's not working. Here, hold on to the phone." Reagan had called in, now he's on the phone. So I picked up the phone, I go, "Hello, Mr. President?" He goes, "Hi, what's going on over there?" I said, "Well, they're having a problem with the PA system. How's Santa Barbara?" So we talked for a few minutes, I said, and he's like, "Well, is everything going on over?" I said, "I don't think they're going to be able to get you on the loudspeaker, so I think Ed's going to convey the message." And we had a nice conversation, but that's how I talked to Ray. And these are crazy little things but they're such historical figures. And like you with De Niro and Pacino, I didn't get that opportunity, but maybe one day. But
it's a pleasure for me to do all these things, because when I stop and I think of all the things that I've done, movies, commercials, interviews, stand-up.
Yeah. My God, you have done, yeah.
Stand-up
And Vinny, I want to say, I know we're going to go pretty soon, but I want to thank you for helping to launch my show, my live show that I'm going to be doing with these clips that you see.
Oh, yeah, anytime, that.
Yeah, and you're the best. And I have to say, as I did in the last show, who is better than you? You are a great inspiration, and you've been such a great friend all these years, and I really love you very much for that.
Thank you so much.
And I don't think my girlfriend's going to be jealous.
I appreciate that. I've been with you since you were with Strudel.
That's right. I was with these.
And even before that.
That was a New York girl, and she's now back in, I believe, in Yugoslavia or wherever she went. The Dominican Republic, and now I'm with a beautiful young lady, Stacy, and I send my love out to you, Stacy, if you're watching the show.
There you go. And I got another job coming up with the Department of Correction for the adolescent division. I have to talk to these kids that are all adolescents from like 12, 13 years old to like 18 years old.
Really?
And lecture them about not getting in trouble. Don't follow my footsteps. Like, you see what I do in movies? I do it in movies. I'm getting paid for it. You do it in
watch
real
your
life.
stage show. You talk all about that early life. Vinny, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
It's great
for
seeing
being
you.
on the show.
All right.
Thank you. God bless.